Hello and welcome to the Q Today show for February 3rd to February 7th. I'm Allison Duddy, one of your co-hosts for this show.
And I'm Ron Campbell, sitting in for Nate Bello. We just want to remind you viewers that our weekday show runs from Tuesday to Friday, and the weekend offering runs from Friday to Tuesday. We broadcast daily at 8 a.m., 5 p.m., and 10 p.m. So please tune in.
And before we get to the news, we also want to remind you that we're accepting sponsors for the program. And as always, thanks to the Quesnel Observer for providing some of our news stories. And now to the news, Ron.
Thank you, Allison. But remember, we just give the highlights here on Q Today. If you want to read the full story, please pick up a copy of the Quesnel Caribou Observer. And our first item today is a wanted warrant has been issued for a man with close connections to Quesnel. Aaron Craig Sutherland has failed to report to his halfway house in Kelowna from Kent Institution. Sutherland was born July 24th, is Caucasian, is 5'7", has hazel eyes, brown hair, and weighs 212. Police say he has a history of assaults, property offenses, fleeing police, drug offenses, dangerous driving, failure to comply offenses, and one sexual assault conviction. He is considered a chronic offender with a serious drug addiction. Sutherland has some distinguishing tattoos, which includes a spider across on his back of his neck and a vampire on his right hand. He could be at a number of places in BC as he has strong connections with associates and family in Quesnel, Prince George, and Abbotsford. Anyone who comes into contact with this parolee is asked to contact the police of their jurisdiction or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS, that's 8477, or online at www.crimestoppers.net to report his whereabouts.
Oh, and we hope he's not running around in Quesnel somewhere. So we have talked a couple of times on our show about James Gemmell and his success on the Team Canada sledge hockey team. There was a great article in this week's Observer about the, quote, brutal hard work that will be required to achieve his next dream, as James put it, to be on the gold medal winning sledge hockey team at the next Paralympics. And that is where Heather Hartridge, Health and Fitness, comes in, excuse me, or also H3F they call it. When James first went to H3F, he was quick to share his dream with Heather and Chris Hartridge. They were instantly taken with the thought of sharing James's dream, and without hesitation, they accepted the challenge of preparing him for a journey that will lead him to the Olympic podium. They were so inspired with the thought of being part of his team, they offered to train James at no charge as long as he kept up his end of the bargain, which includes the best dietary nutrition possible and giving 110% to the physical workouts they designed. Now, sledge hockey players require a huge amount of upper body, core strength, and flexibility. Heather and Chris have tailored James's workouts to his needs and abilities by coming up with creative ways of working on these areas to help increase his endurance and speed. After working with Heather and Chris for only a matter of a few months, he was off to Calgary for the World Sledge Hockey Challenge back in November. His Team Canada coaches were so impressed with his increased strength, endurance, and speed that they're now asking James about the training methods in order to pass this type of training on to other players. So that speaks volumes for the training that he's getting here in Quesnel.
It certainly does, and he works so hard at it, and it's nice to see that others have recognized his abilities.
For sure. And as we also mentioned on our previous show, the team won the gold medal at the Four Nations tournament in Japan, with Gemmell being chosen as the Canadian player of the game in Game 3 against Norway. So it looks like James is well on his way to achieving his dream, and of course, I'm sure we all wish him the best of luck in that.
We certainly do. Moving on to some city news. City planner Tanya Turner reported to City Council at the last Quesnel City Council meeting that Quesnel is to receive $100,000 from the Canadian Gas Tax Fund upon completion of their integrated community sustainability planning. ISCP. Don't you just love these little phrases?
So many acronyms out there, you can't keep them all straight.
The gas tax fund is to assist local government to build and revitalize public infrastructure. It supports capital projects such as local roads, public transit, energy systems, and waste management systems that lead to cleaner air, cleaner water, and/or reduces greenhouse gas emissions. The UBCM administers this gas fund, and let's hope our council deals with it, with these funds quite evenly and uses them wisely.
Definitely. So, after years of consultations, reports, studies, and analysis, the Cariboo Regional District has endorsed their support for a Purdon Lake Circle route to Barkerville in a letter to senior government officials. This thing has been studied to death over the years, Cariboo Regional District Director Area C and Barkerville Heritage Trust member John Massier said. Barkerville Heritage Trust Chair Sue Morhan added, the Trust believes that realizing the proposed Purdon Lake connector represents an important step forward in improving the safe access to and from the site, as well as providing an attractive summertime driving alternative for travelers. The Trust is hoping other local government officials will sign on. We need them on board, Massier said, adding, it carries weight when we meet with the Ministry of Transportation. The Trust will be meeting with the City of Quesnel on March 26th, and we should be interested in what happens there.
Yeah, one thing the article didn't cover is what would be the cost for the upkeep of that road and who would be using it.
Yeah, and who would do it, and
and whose responsibility it will be.
Well, that might be something that might be brought up at the City Council meeting, so we'll have to keep up on that.
Yeah, speaking of City Council, we're at it again. Monday night was a lively meeting. It took place over the letter from the local motel owner who wished to be reimbursed for some monies that he lost because of the Saint Laurent revitalization plan that took place. It appears it took 103 days to reach council. It was addressed to mayor and council, and according to Councillor Shushal Thapar, this matter should have been addressed upon receipt and not just handled by the city administrator or the mayor. Also, a letter from private citizen Pat Morton generated sharp debate between councillors and the mayor as they were discussing the information that Pat Morton wishes to get from City Hall. The mayor publicly stated that she felt the letter was a personal attack against her, and she regrets the new council has to be part of it. Basically, Ms. Morton's expressed her concern on why it took such a long time to receive requested information on expenses paid to council and to the mayor, and to the fact that when she did receive some of the information, it was marked out that so much it was almost worthless. Stay tuned, this matter is not over, not by a long stretch. Please watch full council meetings here on Shaw. It's not streamed live, but comes to you on the next day at 7 p.m. And also, Allison, not to take up all your time, I went to another meeting, and this one was the other evening, and it was in regards to the 2012 preliminary budget by the CRD. The city and the CRD work closely together, and some of our tax monies are shared, especially when it comes to regional rec. The reason I mention this, Allison, is that there were approximately 25 people there, and that included CRD staff, 3 city council members, and the mayor. I feel that our local citizens have too much apathy out there, because these elected representatives need to know that you care where your tax dollar goes. From the size of the CRD and the number of people we have in the city, there should have been 75 to 100 people there. The tax increase from the CRD this year is going to be 2.4%, and I've got a feeling that the city will be raising our taxes at least 5%, because it's been stated that they need 3% just to keep the status quo.
Wow.
So come on, people out there, get involved. It's your money, and these people you elected are there to work for you. So get involved, get interested in what is happening in your community.
Very good, Ron. So on a little bit of a lighter note, I'm wondering how many of you have ever seen these reality TV shows on extreme couponing, such as the one on TLC. Well, that's how local couponer Britt Sutherland was introduced to the world of couponing. She had been using coupons for some time, but when she saw extreme couponing on TLC, it really got her looking into more coupons. She explains that couponing in the United States is different from Canada. The competition is more fierce in the States between grocery stores, so they have more reward programs, and coupon stacking is allowed much more often than it is up here in Canada. Although they aren't as extreme, there are many resources for Canadians looking for good deals. Resources such as newspaper inserts, tear pads at stores, and online sites such as Brand Saver and Web Saver. She also often visits the Canadian Coupon Queen website and says it's a good website because it has different information on different store coupon policies, how to coupon, and how to get the best deals. Now, I've never heard of this, maybe Ron, you have, I don't know, but she also described a kind of chain letter where you sign up and receive an envelope in the mail with coupons in it, and what you do is you take out the ones you want, you replace in the envelope coupons that you have that you don't want, and you send the envelope on to the next person on the list. And I thought that was kind of a neat way of coupon sharing with people. She sums up why she loves couponing by saying it's really exciting, and if you can get the good savings, you can put some of the money you would usually be spending on full price items towards something else, adding, I love being able to shop and not go broke. Well, who wouldn't love that?
I'm so glad that my wife does not use the internet. She does not use the computer that often because she'd go coupon crazy. She loves that kind of stuff.
Dear. Think of all the money that she could save you guys though, Ron. You could go on a nice golfing vacation or something.
Yeah, I'm sure. If there was a coupon for that now, I'd be looking for it. Turning to sports, our two Quesnel hockey teams are impressing coaches and fans alike. As the Quesnel Thunder Bantam Tier 3 team finished second in an 8-team tournament in Prince George. Coach Kozak stated he was impressed with his team's play and the way his team faced the challenges of playing 5 games in just over 2 days. And further, he said, winning comes when they play as a team. As in hockey, as in life, if you play as a team, you're a winner.
For sure.
The Midget Thunder had a 3rd place finish at a tournament in Chase. Coach Andrews was really pleased on how the team played against Aldergrove and Penticton, 2 teams they'll probably face in the upcoming provincial playoffs that'll be coming in March. What have I got down here? Oh yes, we have so much in the paper here, I'm getting confused. Allison, did you read that section in the paper on the Model T that was going to Fairbanks?
I skimmed it. I didn't read the whole thing though.
Well, Andy Motherwell.
Sounds like you did.
Yes, Andy Motherwell did a great job on it, and I think that we should be referring it to our listeners to get out there and check that out. It was an excellent article and a nice picture of the Model T.
Great. So also in sports, the 52nd annual Ladies Wheel and Spiel took place at the Quesnel Curling Club last weekend. 30 teams competed in the Spiel, and coming out on the top of the heap of this year's event was the Terry Spack rink, including 3rd Carol Reed, 2nd Judy Andrews, and at lead Diane Sanderson. Spack took the top prize over the Crystal Holler rink in a close 7-5 win in the A event. Coming in 3rd and 4th places respectively also in the A event were the Lindsay Bentley rink and the Dana Johansson rink, both from Quesnel. In other action, the Laureen Amundsen rink from Prince George took the B event with 2 Quesnel rinks, the Anna Johnson rink and the Laurie DeRocha rink coming in 3rd and 4th respectively in that event. The C event final went to Yvonne Teskey of Williams Lake with a 7-4 win over the Trudy Bentley rink of Quesnel. And in addition to curling, it sounds like the women had a fantastic time, great opportunities to socialize and have fun, And Bonspiel organizers planned plenty of social events, including an appy time, that's appy time, not nappy, and a banquet dinner, which also included a costume contest. It was a resounding success, event organizer Lorna Schley said of the Bonspiel. Sounds like a good one. I'm wondering where they get the wheel and spiel from, though, because I go to wheel spiels for my wheelchair curling, but I read the whole article, the online article, the newspaper article, and it didn't allude to where they got the name for it. So I'm going to have to do some research into that and see where the wheel in the spiel comes from.
Maybe it was when they were having the appies.
Maybe.
Speaking of curling, I understand you're off to somewhere this weekend.
I am. I'm headed off to the Wheelchair Curling Provincial Championships in Kamloops this weekend.
Excellent.
So
well, have a good safe trip and best of luck to you.
Thank you. I'll let you know how it goes when I get back.
Great. Moving along, Allison, I understand you recently had a chance to talk with Victoria Blaze of the Katimavik.
I did. They're still looking for billet families, and we also had a chance to talk just a little bit about what Katimavik is all about. It was quite interesting, so let's take a look at that. So I'm here with Victoria Blay, who is the project leader for Katimavik here in Quesnel. Welcome, Victoria. It's great to have you on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So I'm thinking maybe we could start off with some of the basics. So tell us a little bit about the Katimavik program.
Certainly. So Katimavik is a national youth volunteer program. Youth from across the country can sign up for this 6-month program, and depending on which specific theme they've signed up for, they will be placed in either 1 or 2 Canadian communities. And during that time, they're living in groups of 11, and they're all under one roof, under the supervision of a project leader, such as myself. And the youth participate in volunteer placements, where they're out in the communities, contributing, giving back, and becoming engaged citizens. That's one of the big purposes of our program, is to encourage youth to broaden their perspectives and to really engage as citizens.
That sounds fantastic. So I'm wondering, what are the eligibility requirements for someone to get involved in this program?
Yes, so youth between the ages of 17 and 21 can sign up for this program. They need to be a Canadian citizen, and everything is online on the Katimavik website, which is katimavik.org. And youth will need to complete a little bit of information about themselves, but it's open for all of those who are eligible to apply. And it's definitely worth giving it a shot. You never know what'll come of it.
Awesome. So what kind of a group do you have right now? What's the makeup, I guess, of your current group that you're handling?
Yes, so we have 11 youth who have been here since January 4th. This is their first stop in their program, so they'll spend 3 months here in Quesnel, and my particular group will then move on to Montreal for another 3 months of volunteering and learning. So the group is made up of 7 girls and 4 boys. We have 3 from Quebec, 6 from Ontario, 1 from Nova Scotia, and 1 from BC. The groups in general, they are comprised of youth from across the country to try to represent each of the different regions and represent the Canadian demographic. So it's really neat to have this mini cultural exchange within one household. Even though they're all from the same country, there's a lot of learning that can take place. Just different sharing of traditions, and even little things such as out east, they drink milk out of bags. Out here, it's out of jugs. And so those little things can be some big learning opportunities and eye-opening opportunities for the youth.
I know, I was fascinated when you told me about the bagged milk, because we haven't had that here for so many years. Exactly. And I had no idea that they still drank milk out of a bag back east. So even I learned something from that. So I'm wondering, you said 7 girls and 4 boys. Is it usually girls that seem to get more involved in this, or is it kind of a 50-50? What's the ratio usually like?
Currently, there seems to be more interest among girls, and so we are really encouraging the guys to apply because it offers such a nice balance when you do have a half and half sort of distribution in the groups.
For sure. So what type of volunteer work are they doing around the community?
Our youth have been really lucky here in Quesnel because we have 13 different partner organizations. So we have youth all over town reaching very different populations and demographics here in town. Some of our work partners include Dunroven Park Lodge, the Salvation Army Thrift Store. There are several elementary schools. We also have Seasons House, the Native Friendship Center, and I could continue to list them, but the idea is,
that gives us a great idea of what kind of stuff they do out there. That's fantastic. So it gives them, do they get to choose their volunteer opportunities, or are they placed at their volunteer opportunities?
It's an interesting little process that we have them take part in. They get to tour and visit all of the organizations to get a sense of what the placement involves and what sort of work they will be doing. Then we have an interview process, sort of like a speed dating process. And they speak with every supervisor, and then they get to express some of their preferences, and we try to match up as best as possible where we feel they're going to excel and learn the most.
That sounds fantastic. So I understand, I did see an article in the paper last week that you are still in need of some billet families for some of these students.
Yes.
Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Certainly. So for most of the time, the youth are living together in a house rented by the program. But we do have this 12-day period where we seek out host families in the community, and that is so that the volunteers will each have a different home to stay at for that 12-day period and integrate more into the community. It's so nice when they really get that local perspective, and the families, they get to show these youth what they love about the Cariboo, and to give them a good idea of a typical day in the life of somebody who is from Quesnel. So it's a great cultural exchange in that sense, and right in your own living room you get to have somebody who might be speaking a different language as their mother tongue, or who's from the other side of the country. And so the dates are February 12th until the 24th, so that's a Sunday until a Friday. And the billet families, they help to get the volunteers to and from work every day, and they also will receive $10 a day to help offset costs. Based on what we've heard from past billet families, they really do appreciate that opportunity just to spend that, just a special time with somebody they otherwise would never likely have met. Mm-hmm. And so for further information, I can be contacted. My phone number is 1-866-941-6589, extension 2215. Or feel free to email me at quesnel@katimavik.org.
That's awesome, Victoria. I would think that would be so interesting, having a billet, I mean, especially for me from Quebec, because I'm not French speaking. So I would think that the culture shock and the things that you could learn from, these students would be just really a neat experience.
Most definitely. And
do you get good feedback from the families?
Yes.
Good.
And we have families who have returned as billet families time after time because they've just felt like it has given something special to their families, to themselves, their children, whatever it may be. And we're open to all sorts of different families. You don't have to have kids necessarily. Yeah. We've had retired couples or individuals who have that extra space and time and are just wanting to get to know somebody.
That's great. So if you can give us your contact information one more time, and we'll also display it on the bottom of the screen so that if you don't have a pen handy, you can grab one and jot this down.
Perfect. So my phone number is 1-866-941-6589, extension 2215. And my email is quesnel@katimavik.org.
Thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about this, Victoria.
Well, thank you, Allison.
I learned a lot.
I'm glad.
Great. All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it was great to hear from Victoria. She really enjoys what she's doing.
She does. You can definitely see the passion for what she does in her job. It was a great interview.
And speaking of Katimavik, the Canadian Cancer Office has a volunteer that comes in, and we have partnered with them for some time over the years, and have always had a great relationship with those who have come in and attended at our office. We've had them work on the computer, and we've had them help with various fundraisers such as the Daffodils, Relay for Life. They've become part of our family, and they're our friends, and we certainly miss them when they move on. And we hope that both of us benefit from this relationship.
Well, it sounds like there is benefits to both there. I mean, the office gets a great volunteer, and the office staff gets to learn a lot about someone from a different part of the country too.
Yes,
So.
and they pick up what we do here locally
Yep.
for cancer patients.
Exactly. All right, so now we're going to have a quick look at our community calendar.
And just before we wrap up, Allison, we have a thought for the day.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
Okay. As you grow older, you'll discover that you have two hands. One is for helping yourself, and the other is for helping others. That's the thought for the day.
That's a really nice thought for the day, Ron.
Yeah, it's
Well,
out-
maybe, hopefully, it will have an impact on some of our viewers too.
I hope so too.
Good, great. All right, so that is it for this show. If you have any comments or if you'd like to be a sponsor or volunteer, you can contact us by email at qtoday@shaw.ca. You could also call 250-992-3650 or call the Shaw Studio at 250-992-8363.
And thank you for watching. And remember, Q Today is produced by QMAG, the Quesnel Media Access Group. Our purpose is to get a conversation going for Quesnel, by Quesnel. Bye
Bye for now.